This is notes for section 7.2 gross pay. So in this chapter, we're going to be looking at pay, gross pay, net pay, and taxes. We're going to start off our discussion with looking at the types of income. So there's many different ways you can be compensated for work done. One is the hourly wage. So with an hourly wage, you get a fixed payment for each hour of work. And some examples of this are something like a store clerk. So maybe you work at, selling cell phones or, any place in the mall. You could be a fast food worker. You could be a dog walker, a babysitter. A lot of starting out jobs or jobs for younger people tend to have an hourly wage. Next one is the hourly wage plus tips. So here you get an hourly wage plus a varying amount of tips. And the classic example of this is a waiter or waitress. Okay. Also another example, something like a taxi driver. You can have a hairdresser, anything where you're working in a service industry and there's tips involved. Next, we have a salary. So this is a fixed payment for work, usually expressed as amount per year, but paid regularly. So you don't get paid only once a year. Usually it's in 2 weeks chunks, and it doesn't vary over the year. So it doesn't matter how many hours you work, you get paid a fixed amount. So some examples of this are firefighter, a teacher, a lot of office workers. I'm a teacher. If I put in, let's say I spend a whole weekend developing new resources, I don't get paid anymore. There's no overtime. You just get paid your salary. Then we have a commission. So commission is usually a percentage, and it's based on sales. Okay, So in sales, let's say you're a real estate agent, you would get, let's say, 3% of the sale of the house, for example. Or you could be any other type of salesperson. So used car sales is generally one that's thought about being pushy because they're trying to make that commission. You can sell makeup products like a door-to-door salesman, anything where you're making your money based on how much you sell is commission. Salesperson. Royalty is payment for a piece of work, and the amount is also based on percentage of sales, but you don't directly have to be the one going out and trying to market it to people. So for example, an author, so they would get a royalty for every book sold, or a musician, every time their song is played, they get royalties. Same with TV. Piecework is payment based on the number of items created or completed. Okay, so examples would be if you're in a factory, you're a factory worker, maybe you get paid on the number of boxes that you make. Or maybe you're someone who's installed something, so let's say like a cable TV installer. And you get paid for every cable TV you install in someone's house. And then finally, we have a contract. It is a payment for a fixed period of time or a fixed amount of money. So maybe you have an editor. So let's say I'll pay you $20,000 to edit my book. Or we have a contractor, I'm going to pay you $50,000 to renovate my house or my kitchen. Okay. So these are all just different types of getting your gross pay. So gross pay is the amount earned before any deductions. So you include things like any salary or wages, tips, any bonuses you might get, vacation pay, overtime pay, all the different types of money you get before you take away taxes or medical or any expenses. That's the gross pay. So that's what we're going to be calculating in this section. All of these questions about gross pay are always word problems. You have to read the question carefully, figure out what they're asking, and then break it down. So this first question says, Denzel works at a tire manufacturing plant and earns $10.20 an hour on day shift. When he works the evening shift, he earns a shift premium of an additional $2.15 an hour. And when he works the night shift, he gets time and a half. Last month, he worked 80 hours on day shift, 40 hours on evenings, and 40 hours on nights. What was his gross income for the month? So we're going to have to calculate three things. How much he worked in the day, how much he got when he worked in the evening, and how much he worked when he worked in the night. And then we're going to have to add those up to get our total gross. So in the day, he makes $10.20 an hour. Okay, and it says in the day that he worked 80 hours on day shift. So we're going to multiply that by 80 hours. When we do that, we get $816. So that's how much he worked for the month on day shift. Next, we're going to do evening. When he works evening shifts, he earns a shift premium of $2.15. So that means we're going to take shift premium, means we take this amount of money and we add it to his base salary. So we're going to have $10.20 an hour plus $2.15 an hour. Okay, so it ends up being what? $12.35 an hour. Okay, and then it says here that he worked 40 hours on evening. So we're going to multiply that by 40 hours. And when we do that, we get $494. So for his evening shifts, he made $494 for that month. And then he also worked 40 hours on nights. And when he does nights, he gets time and a half. So to do time and a half, we're going to take his base salary, so $10.20 per hour, and we're going to multiply it by 1.5. So the 1, it means time, and then the 0.5 is and a half. If it said he gets 2 times, we would multiply the whole thing by 2. If he got 3 times, it would be times 3. Okay? And then we're going to multiply that by the 40 hours he worked on nights. And for nights, he got $612. Now for his gross salary, we need to add all 3 of those up. So we have, $816 plus $494 plus $612. And when we add those together, we get $1,922. So that's how much he made for the month. So now we're going to look at the next question. Here it says, Salem received a yearly base salary of $42,640 plus a 10% performance bonus plus a 3% holiday pay. What is Salem's average semi-monthly payment? Okay, so there's a lot of information here. So this is the base salary. We have a 10% bonus, 3% holiday pay, and then they want to know semi-monthly payments. So semi-monthly means 2 times a month. Which is different than every 2 weeks. So remember that most months don't just have 28 days. They have 30 or 31 days, meaning that they have about like 4.3 weeks in a month. So twice a month is equal to 24 times a year. Okay, because there's 12 months in a year. If we do payments 2 times every month, that's 24 times a year. If, on the other hand, you were going to do every 2 weeks, okay, every 2 weeks, you end up with 26 times a year because there's 52 weeks in a year. And if we cut that in half, it becomes 26, okay? So just pay attention. If it says semi-monthly, you know it's 24 times a year. If it says every 2 weeks, it's 26 times a year. This one says semi-monthly. So first we're going to take his pay. 42,640, okay? And he gets a 10% performance bonus. So what we could do is we could multiply this by 10% and then add it back in, okay? Because we want to know how much his salary is with the bonus, not just what the bonus is, but how much it is with the bonus. Or we can do it in one step where 10% becomes, if we want to change that from a percent to a decimal, it becomes 0.1, okay? And then if we want to know, well, how much is his salary, 100% of his salary with the bonus, then it's going to be 1.1, okay? So we're going to multiply this by 1.1, which means what is 110% of his salary, okay? When we do that, we get 46,904. So that's his performance bonus. Then on top of his performance bonus, he gets 3% holiday pay. So now you're going to take the amount you just calculated, 46,904, and we're going to multiply it by his holiday pay amount. Now again, here you could either multiply it by just 3% and then add it back in, or we can go 1.03. So, which is 103%. So this becomes 0.03, and if we want to make it over, if we want to just do this in one step, we'll just multiply by 1.03. So then we get, when we do that, 48,311.12 per year. And then we want to know semi-monthly. So now we have the year, and so we need to divide 48,311.12. Okay, so this is how much he makes a year. We know that there's 24 payments per year, so we're going to divide this number by 24 payments, and that means we get $2,012.96 for every payment. And that's our final answer for this one. Okay, next one says, Jasmine sells clothing part-time at B&B's boutique. Her monthly salary is $950. She gets 4% commission on the first $15,000 of sales and 6% commission on any sales over $15,000. Her total sales for September were $28,200. What is her gross income for the month? Okay, so here on this one, we have to figure out first her commission on the first $1,500, because that's at 4%. Then we need to figure out how much commission she makes over $1,500. And then we're going to need to add that up with her base salary. So for the first $1,500, she has $1,500, and then she makes a rate of 4%, so 0.04. Now this time, we want to know just what her sales are. It's not being added into, or just what her commission is, it's not being added into her sales. So we don't want to use a 1 in front here, because we're not, in the last question, we had a base salary, and then we wanted to know what the bonus was on top of that added into the salary. This time, we just want to know her sales commission. So we're going to multiply these two together, and we get $600. For the amount over $1,500, we need to take her total sales, so this is her total sales, and subtract away the amount we've already figured out her commission for. So we have $28,200, and we're going to subtract the $1,500. Oops. Because we've already figured out her commission on that. And then this time, when her sales that are over $1,500, she makes 6%. So we're going to multiply this by 0.06. And when we do that, we get 792. So for her gross salary, we're going to take her monthly salary with no commission, so $950. And we're going to add her commission of $600 and her commission of $792. We're going to add those up, and we get $2,342 per month, at least for the month of September, based on those sale numbers. Next question, and this is the last one. Sanjay is a waiter and John sells magazine subscription. Who has the higher gross annual income? All right, so we're going to start with Sanjay. So it says Sanjay makes $8 an hour for 40 hours a week, plus he gets $300 in tips. So first, let's figure out how much he's making a week. So $8 an hour times 40 hours is $320 a week. Okay. His gross salary for the week is going to be his $320 he makes as a base salary plus his $300 in tips. So he's going to get $620 a week. Okay. And they want to know who has the higher gross annual income. So they want to know annual means per year. So that means that we need to take his salary for every week. And we're going to multiply it by the weeks in the year. So there's 52 weeks in the year. So he gets $32,240 per year for Sanjay. Now we need to figure out John. So it says John has $560 bi-weekly, and then a 4% commission on $14,490 per month. Okay, so we have two amounts for John. $560. Now bi-weekly, if we want to know that for the year, remember there's 26 bi-weekly payments. So times 26 payments. Okay, one for every 2 weeks. Bi-weekly is every 2 weeks. So that means he gets $14,560 per year. That's his base salary. Now we have to do his commission. So for his commission, he's selling an average of $14,490 times 0.04. And then we're going to multiply it, because we want to know also for the year, by 12 months. When we do that, we get 6,955.20 per year. For his gross salary, we need to add those two things together. So we have 14,560 plus 6,955.20. So he's making $21,515.20 per year. So if we compare these two, here we have 32,000, here we have 21,000. So that means that the higher income is Sanjay. When I ran into space here, Sanjay has the higher income. Now, sometimes these questions ask you how much. So this one just asks who has the higher income. It doesn't ask you by how much. If it did ask you by how much, you would take the one that was larger and subtract the one that was smaller. And then you would get how much larger Sanjay's income was. Okay. And before you go, just a note here. So you had two things. Remember, semi-monthly, monthly. Okay, so that means that we're going to have 24 payments per year. And then you had bi-weekly, which is every 2 weeks, and you're going to have 26 payments per year. All right, so now you can go and do the homework for this section.